Oh, okay. Hey everyone. This is my first ever episode of Kid Chimera Talks Electronic Music. Today I'm going to be talking to you about subgenres, and it's something that's personally just always kind of uh, got me talking whenever it came to the topic of like electronic music. Um, I've been listening to electronic music for wow. Several years. I started listening when I was about 98. When I was 9 years old, actually. My mom would sit there and say, hey, um, I don't want you listening to any of that hateful music that's out there. And I sat there and says, well, you know what? I've kind of been getting into a lot of this like electronic music stuff. And she goes, oh. And I was like, yeah, there's pretty much like no words in it. And she would sit there and go, oh, okay, then you're totally fine. Um, but I've been getting into it. I really love trance music. Getting starting off, then I would look online, and the internet was like a new thing. Had AOL and all that, and I'd get into Yahoo Music, and I found out about like house music. And, like I got into like Daft Punk, Freemasons, and some other house acts, but as I grew older, I got to listen to a lot more, like, house and a lot more trance. I got into Tiesto like most people did at the time and got into some Paul Van Dyke, Ian Van Dahl. You also had that brief moment where pop went kind of like, Euro tech music and all that crap. Euro pop, rather. Yeah, so today, I was checking out a blog on like Facebook, and people were complaining about how people are now trying to like redefine like house music and to like future house or whatever. Um, it just helps to understand that electronic music has always followed um, subgenres. Subgenres have always been a huge part of it. There was a time where you really wouldn't tell people you listen to EDM, or you wouldn't tell people I listen to electronic music. No one knew what the hell you were talking about. So you'd have to tell people, oh, I listen to house music or trance music, and they still wouldn't know what you were talking about. But then if you told them, hey, I listen to techno, they automatically assumed that everything was techno. It was pretty funny how that would work, but if you were talking to anyone who knew what they were talking about, you'd sit there and say, "Oh, I listen to house music." "Oh, what kind of house?" "Oh, I kind of like a little bit of jungle or whatever." And people would be like, "Oh, okay, that's cool. I totally feel you. Okay, cool. That's awesome." I listen to a lot of like, big room, like house. And back then, big room house is a whole different thing. It wasn't what big room house is today. So basically, subgenres have always been there, man. They've always been there. It's always been an integral part of electronic music. But with the recent years, like the last 3, 4 years, with EDM being this huge, huge, huge thing, you have everyone looking at EDM as EDM, which was just basically big room house music. You had your Swedish House Mafia, which they did some huge things in the scene and everything, but you also have other people like Oliver Heldens, who just makes a magnificent podcast every week that I check out. You have new fresh faces in the scene all the time, and you know Duke Dumont or whatever, and like all these new people who disclosure, who would play this music, and you're sitting there going, wow, what is this? And they go, it's deep house. It's really more future house. So it's good. It's great to have the argument. I think it's a great thing because now it's bringing into like mind like the actual uh, subgenres in electronic music. There's nothing wrong with subgenres. And there's no shame. There shouldn't be people shouldn't be ashamed to admit that this doesn't sound like what it is. Um, it, it helps to know what you're talking about. It really does. And you shouldn't be ashamed. Listen to music. It's all about the music. It's all about that feeling you get when you listen to a great song and you're excited and you want to share it with everyone, or you just want to play it at a party. It's that's what it's all about. But at the same time, it's okay to also be a music snob. If you listen to only trance music and you hate how it's going progressive and you're merging genres, bitch about it by all means. There's nothing wrong with that. People sit there and try to use the whole positivity thing to shut you up, but you know what? No, you know what you're talking about. If you really feel as though that your favorite genre is disappearing, which has been a recent thing. I mean, don't get me started on Tiesto, all right? Like, don't get me started. People changing their sound to cater to the masses and then lie that, oh, they're doing it because they went through a personal recovery. That's not true. But we all know that, and everyone knows that. And in the coming weeks, I'll be talking more about like ghost production and basically the commercialization of like electronic music and how it's all basically, most of it is pretty much about joining a label or making money and you know yeah, I think it's a good time to get into uh, this whole blogging business. So, yeah, like my video if you care. If you hate it, downvote it or whatever. I don't care. Um, Write your comments. You hate it? Tell me you hate it. Tell me I look ridiculous, and or you can tell me support me. Whatever. I'll be here. All right, guys. Take care.